There is a silence that comes before the storm, a hush where the world itself seems to hold its breath. On the island of Malta, in the year 1565, that silence was broken, not by thunder, but by the sound of a flag whipping in the wind. It was an omen. From the east it came, an empire, the Ottoman war machine 40,000 strong, a forest of crimson sails darkening the sea. For the few hundred knights watching from these walls, it was not a battle they saw approaching, it was their funeral. But their leader, a 70-year-old man named Jean de Valette, understood the first rule of a siege. Hope is a weapon. And so he gave his first terrifying order. He would starve the invaders, even if it meant starving his own people. The message was clear. There would be no surrender, only victory or death. The Ottomans threw themselves against the smallest fort, Street Elmo. They turned it into an anvil, hammering it day and night with cannon fire, believing it would break quickly. They were wrong. In the chaos of the bombardment, their greatest strategist, the legendary corsair Turgut Reis, fell. The Ottoman army had just lost its mind, and the knights, they had found a spark of hope. When Street Elmo finally fell, the Ottomans sent a message. They crucified the bodies of the fallen knights and set them adrift. It was meant to terrorize, to break their spirit. Valette sent a message back. He fired the heads of his Ottoman prisoners from his own cannons. There would be no rules, no mercy, only a lesson in the price of conquest. The battle moved underground into tunnels of dust and darkness. A silent, desperate war of picks and daggers fought in the suffocating black. For every inch of rock, a life. Just as despair began to win, a miracle. A handful of men, a tiny relief force slipped through the blockade. They were not an army, they were a message. You are not forgotten. The final assault came. The walls, battered for months, finally shattered. The enemy poured into the city. This was the end. But from the smoke emerged an old man in armor. Valette, grabbing a pike, led the charge himself. He was not just a commander, he was a symbol. And on that day, a symbol was enough. And then, a second miracle. On the horizon, the sails of the great Spanish relief fleet, salvation had arrived. When the smoke cleared, the cost was counted. The ground was soaked in blood, but the island was free. The Knights of Malta had done the impossible. They had stood against an empire and won. They proved that the strongest wall is not made of stone, but of will.